the use of AI outside of tech.
A non-profit that purchased 24,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs.
Potential danger with internal research known as Q-Star. You're looking pretty fresh, actually, Dror. I just noticed. For 7 a.m., that's when we're getting here.
Yeah. The pigeons woke me up early today again.
Excellent.
Where are you?
Where am I? I'm in Sydney, actually, today. So staying at one of my friends' place in Sydney. So last night we had our Dazed and Diffused event, which was excellent. So we had 130 people register. You were there, obviously. It's really good. Look, this is probably our 6th Dazed and Diffused event. So we're starting to see a real community build. How did you find it?
I thought it was good. I thought it was interesting talks, useful stuff. I like the new idea of 1 minute lightning rounds. I like those. I think they're good.
So at the event, we had a few people give their 1 minute lightning round. We had some futurists talk about where they see AI going. And look, I think this is where we're seeing Australia, the community's growing. We had people talking about, what's happening in Silicon Valley and how we're starting to grow. And Annie, talked about the AI Builders Club. So it's really great. And I liked one of the pictures, seeing niche uses of AI. So we had Mitch from Vet Notes, talking about how he's, using AI and large language models with animals and vets and helping those. So I thought it was interesting. So I think it's really good from an Australian point of view. And we even had, some of the other VCs. We saw Matt from Black Nova there doing a bit of beatboxing at the end. And it was fun. So look, this week in AI, what's been happening at your end?
I think it's important to note that you got news that Sam Altman is the CEO of OpenAI.
For this week?
I mean, the mainstream media, people talk about it as like capitalists won over the doomers of AI. And there was an article in The Economist actually that it had to happen because you can have the seat but not the power. And the power is so the board fired Altman supposedly, according to the news we know, is that they had concerns about safety, AI safety. They're moving too fast. But when Altman says, I'm going to Microsoft, practically all of AI staff says, we're going after him unless you replace the board. So, what do we do here? So companies should be companies and not try to be social entities or rule makers because they can't. They are companies. They pay salaries and they are for profit. It demonstrates that why ESG is pretty flawed idea. I mean, it's a nice idea, but it's not rules should be made by governments. And companies should maximize profit within the rules. That's my opinion. That's also happened to be a Friedman opinion. What is the social good that companies should do? Should maximize investor profit. And I know it could come across to say as heresy, but actually it's the orthodoxy of the previous 50 years. So I like that we're back in business there. I think it makes sense. Am I worried about AI safety? Yes, I am. But we'll have to see where that happens.
What else has been happening this week? Look, this week there's a bit of an interesting article in, I think it's Every Pixel Journal, talking about how non-tech brands use AI and really talking about food. And I thought that was quite interesting just around, how AI is being used and whether that be, optimizing for growing conditions. There's a whole range of use cases that we're starting to see AI play out, and whether it be around pest detection. It's just fascinating to me to see, not just in the tech space, but in the real world, just looking at even things like reducing the environmental impact. I mean, what's your take on how you're seeing the use of AI outside of tech in these other industries?
As you said yesterday, one week in AI is a year in the rest of the world, right? So the infiltration of this type of technologies throughout society is probably record-breaking. Seeing it in manufacturing, traditionally a lagger, and this technology is what you can argue it's like a year into the big splash. And I think that's just a testament of the breadth and depth of the transformation that's ahead of us.
Yeah, and I think this personalization in all of these things as well is going to be huge, whether that be around nutrition or health. And I think this, customized medicine, this thing is going to be huge based on your own body. Just seeing so many solutions that are starting to come out in there that's exciting, and hopefully that can be for the benefit of people's long-term health.
So which company is doing personalized nutrition?
Yeah, there's one called Neutrino. So it's sort of, you can record and view your glucose levels. I've seen quite a few other ones that are being used around gut health and being able to kind of do certain biome, and some of those other companies are really doing customized pharmacy, sort of producing drugs for you based on what your body is sort of showing.
Yeah, we've been hearing about personalized medicine for a while, I think. Do you reckon this is like an inflection point?
Yeah, look, I think it's when it's affordable. I think it will definitely become more and more accessible. So I think still it's pretty it's reasonably expensive for the average person. So I think, I'm not sure it's quite there yet, but I do think we're getting closer.
I like it.
Yeah.
All right, I go next. I've got an interesting story about a crypto billionaire doing a non-profit, which is weird, frankly. His name is Jed McKellen, co-founder of blockchain startup Stellar, Ripple, and Mt. Gox, and aerospace company Vast. Well, I launched a non-profit that purchased 24,000 NVIDIA H100 GPUs to build data centers that lease capacity to AI projects. I love that. It's basically cloud computing all over again. It's more efficient. It makes sense. It's a logical business model for the world. I like the name. It's called Voltage Park. Yeah, I think it's interesting development. If you remember, cloud computing was built from the same type of dynamics. Every company bought their own servers, and basically those servers were sitting idle most of the time until, basically Amazon popularized the idea of sharing this infrastructure. And now things goes up the stack to, specific AI application. What's your take?
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I mean, you obviously need a lot of money to be able to do this. So it's handy being a billionaire to be able to do that. Look, I'm interested to sort of understand the non-profit angle of this, because they're saying that they're doing it to allow people to have access. And I think that's a good thing, but I'm not sure how they're saying you would use the product. Is it focusing on people who don't otherwise have access and giving them, access to those GPUs to do things that are trying to move humanity forward, or that's what I'm not it's not fully clear to me how it would work. I think it's going to be a massive thing, but it's good to see, I guess, if you've got the money to do that.
Your turn.
So, look, there's a bit of a techie one now, a little bit out of QStar. OpenAI, researchers created, there's a bit of buzz this week all around this. They created a new model called QStar, rumored to be able to solve sort of these grade school maths problems and really change the way LLMs work. Just do it really reliably, probably go down the lines of being able to have personalized tutoring. So there's a lot of hype around this. I don't know what you think about it. There's been varying, kind of degrees depending on who you are. People saying it's not a big deal. What's your take on it?
Well, I don't know. Is it a stretch to say that this caused the whole ripple in AI? I don't know. We hear there's a massive board issue and there's a whole week of drama, and then we hear, oh, by the way, there's a new model. Is it a stretch to say that the fact that the new model has new capabilities, and then that also caused I don't know. So there's you can make a link there. Yeah. It does sound like a big deal. I have not played with it yet. The rumors seems very interesting. The ability to do math is qualitatively different than the ability to just do the large language model text thing. It's basically different architecture that's required and different types of training. It's probably amalgamation of a bunch of different systems. And that's kind of how you see the evolution of intelligence, right? So our brain's ability to do what it does is not monolithically evolved throughout history from the basic capacity to sense light, for example. It's a combination of capabilities that suddenly gives you this breakthrough in intelligence. If you want to be a doomer and you want to be a concern, you can find this very concerning. If you want to just brush it off, it says, oh, and well, it can do language, it can do some algebra. So what? I don't know. I think caution is merited, but it is interesting. At some stage you have to trust. You have to put some sort of trust, faith that they will do enough testing and safety. Although humanity is pretty good at not doing it until the last minute.
Yeah.
What's your take?
Yeah, no, I think in this instance, and I think you've hit the nail on the head here, this to me probably is the instigator of all of the trouble at OpenAI, that this QStar, reportedly there was a letter that was sent to the board from OpenAI staff members saying that there's this potential danger with this internal research known as QStar. So I think this has been it, but there's been a bit of a debate around that. AI researchers like, Yan LeCun from Meta, he's kind of just skeptical of this, sort of saying this isn't really a big deal. Look, there's a whole range of views on this, but I think it was the sort of instigator for all of the sort of troubles that were there. And that's the challenge that we have with what's happening in AI. There's not a fixed opinion on what is and isn't. I think we need to understand more about this as well to see if there are sort of implications around QStar as that sort of, kind of gets out there. It is going to be a way to improve LLM reliability. So yeah, let's kind of look into that more as it goes along.
I'm just going to say that there is never going to be a single point in time when you can say, by the time you said this is big deal, that's probably too late. So it's like the classic boiling the frog scenario, right? The frog never notices that it's too hot until it's too late. I have sympathy to Yan's position, but it's an endless, don't worry about it. It's a don't worry about it position. I think there's enough credit on the intellectual honesty of the other side that he is worried about it. to just dismiss it as like, it's just so much energy and it can't drive, or it's so much this, it can't even do simple math. I think, what do you compare it to? You compare it to like, it's a system that was trained for a month versus a human that went through evolution for billions of years. There's reason to be worried, in my opinion. But switching to the next.
I had one that I think is a bit of a concern for me. It's this thing called second soul. And I just want to get your real-time view of this. Okay, second soul.
Okay, I already hate it.
You already hate it? Okay, so second soul.
Monetize your community for your AI clone.
That's right.
Okay.
It's a sort of get your chatbot version of yourself out there, and you can basically have companionship with this person. And so their target audience was for OnlyFans creators, and I thought this is getting a bit weird. But yeah, what's your take on being able to use this technology now so that you can sort of scale yourself?
We talked about it in the first video we ever made, if you remember. You were excited about the idea that, imagine what you can do for, pornography, relationship, all those things. And I was like, not sure. So personally, I don't love it. Is that what really the world needs? I don't know, maybe it does, but if that's what the world needs, that's sad realization. Do you know what I'm saying? I rather, like, if that solves a problem of loneliness or something, okay, great, but that's also recognizing that how bad things are, that we need that. So yeah, I don't love that direction. That's my take. That's my real-time take. What's your real-time take?
No, I agree with you, but I do think this scalability, the technology is scalable, can be very personalized, and so I think we are gonna start to, if we aren't already there, get into a bit of a weird world where people are having these conversations with bots or with AIs and building relationships. And, there's going to be more and more of these. So I think the question is, what are the guardrails? What's the legalities? What are all of the ways? Is it good for society? But I also think this is giving creators, and I'm putting that in brackets, scalable technology. And so often they are the sectors that seem to go forward quicker than other areas. So I don't know, the implications we still don't, for society, but I don't think we're going to know. But it is going to be a weird world.
Let's put it that way. By now, I think most people in the West are aware that the idea of a AI-powered, app that just shares with you human-generated, like user-generated content, like TikTok, has downside effects on social cohesion, division, and so forth. And it's literally a function of the algorithm. It's a flaw in our, perception that we are latched to bad takes more than to good takes. As a result, we are more interested in outraging. It's related to fear of survival. It's just a natural state of our biology. If you bring a technology that basically optimizes engagement, you also get misinformation, disinformation, propaganda, more extremism, and bad outcomes, bad social outcomes. Let's take that to this next generation. Let's put 1 billion people with AI companion that's also manipulated by an algorithm. Let's guess, is the world going to be a better place? I don't know. I'm not going to put my chip on that. You know what I'm saying? We haven't run the experiment, but I make a prediction. It will be worse than, TikTok, social media for social well-being. And my bet is that China would not allow it. How about that? That's my bet.
Look, on the one hand, we're talking about the improvements in these models around video and audio and all this stuff. And then, what's the logical thing is these kinds of products are going to be there. So we're kind of happy about the fact we are moving forward with all this. But, this is one use case, valid or not valid, or good or bad, that we're going to continue to see in propaganda, relationships. I think it's going to really test us to really decide what we want as humans, those real interactions, or, there's probably some not so nice people that would probably quite like this because it'll be nice to them no matter how horrible someone is. So look, I think all this it just was sort of more wanting to get your view on it. I think it's going to be a scary, side of things of how we regulate some of this, if it is, if you can even at all.
Yeah, regulating relationship, it's
I know, well, that's
very interesting.
Or no, whether you have to declare. So I think this is part of it, that you're not dealing with a real person.
Yeah, but even if we know that an algorithm by China is selecting the videos we see, we know it and we still get the outcome. Western liberal democracies are vulnerable to this type of technologies. It's a fact. We'll see how it plays out.
Yeah. Is that a wrap for this week?
I think that's it.
All right. Look, it's been good chatting this week. We'll catch up next week. That's This Week in AI. I'll catch you next week, Dror.
See you later.
Ciao.